welfare. Now, you know, our welfare system, safety net program, a lot of politicians don't want to even talk about it. I have to talk about it. Our welfare system is a system that just spends and wastes so much money. Now, I think many people here are probably okay with a safety net program for people that need a transition or something, but it should be a way of life, right? Now, we have 12% of the population of the country lives here in California, and 30% of the welfare cases. 12% of the population, 30% of the welfare cases. Now, why is that? Well, if you look at the benefits, they're really rich compared to the other areas. And you got 1 million some odd people on welfare, and 60% of them don't work. We have work rules. That's against the law. So what I want to do is make the welfare system basically act more like what you find in other states, more like the national average. So I want to cut the maximum number of years you can be on welfare from 5 years to 2 years. And we're going to enforce the work rules. And if you do those two things, we'll get our But other cuts are targeted. We're going to get $10 billion out of the budget, which gets me to the third 10. The third 10 is a $10 billion rainy day fund. And if you cut taxes by 10% across the board, like I'm proposing, you cut spending by 10%, then we will get a $10 billion rainy day fund by the end of my first term. And that's just essential. We need a savings account to deal with the volatility of the economy. We have no savings, no rainy day fund at all. And we need a $10 billion rainy day fund to get the job done here in the state of California. So, I got to tell you, I do get a lot of friends and family when they call me up all the time and they ask me, gosh, are you nuts? You're running for governor now? The state's bankrupt. The state's out of cash. We're in the worst economic crisis in 160 years. Why would you want to run for governor in such a middle of a major meltdown like this? And let me tell you why. I can't think of a better time to run for governor. This is a fantastic time to run for governor because in the middle of this crisis, we can finally get at some of these big structural problems that are plaguing the state. We're going to finally, once and for all, fix these problems. Now, the Republican Party, we all can play, we must play a huge role in the revitalization of the state. Now, you might get some candidates for governor come in here and tell you, well, the best way for us to win elections, by the way, there's now only 2 people running for governor, so I guess you know who I'm talking about. You might get people in here telling you that they want to rebrand the Republican Party. No. You may get a person. No. You may get, well, I agree with you. You may get that person might come in here and try to convince you that we need to move the Republican Party to the center. To which I say, no, that's nonsense. What we need to do is to elect Republican leaders in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. that believe in conservative core principles. Principles are. My core principles that I will make all decisions as governor based around my conservative principles, including my passion for protecting people's individual liberty, which I think is the most important job of a governor, my belief in personal responsibility, my desire to expand and grow our free market system, and my desire to shrink the size of government. Those are my core principles. And when the Republican Party gets in trouble, it's when we elect Republican leaders that don't stand tall behind those principles, who abandon those principles, that's when our party gets in trouble. Now, we just need to have the courage and the tenacity to stand tall and be proud of the fact that we're conservatives. And we can put together a new working coalition based on these core principles. Because a majority of Californians, Republicans and non-Republicans alike, have had it. And we have a chance now to work together to bring our state back here. And you know, you should be proud of yourself because we conservatives, you've been right all along. You were right that raising taxes is wrong. You were right that government spending is out of control. You were right that we can't bar ourselves into oblivion. You were right to fight for the Second Amendment. You were right that we need school choice for parents. You were right that we needed to completely overhaul and revitalize our economy. And so I really look forward to working together with all of you. Together we can take our state back. This is going to require a bit of a revolution here. The people running our state, driving it off of a cliff. But together, we can and we will bring California back into the golden age. Thank you all very much. Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. I would be happy to take questions on any topic. So what's on your mind? Yes, ma'am.
What are you going to do to turn the water on in the Central Valley? And get
the Central Valley. The Central Valley is in the middle of a huge crisis. And in San Diego and in Southern California, all parts of California were feeling the pain of the fact that these pumps have been turned off. Now, in my opinion, now I'm an insurance commissioner, right? I see the impact of the drought all the time with all these wildfires. Our water crisis, as you may know, is caused by a federal judge, not caused by the drought. Now, there's one unelected federal judge that's just taken over our water supply and has ordered these Delta pumps turned off. That's just wrong. Now, you heard that I taught 12th grade American government. I love teaching about the Constitution. One of my favorite amendments is the 10th Amendment. And so, when I'm governor, if there's still this crisis, and I hope not, if there's still this crisis, I'm going to sue this federal judge because I think what he's doing is wrong and illegal.
In my opinion, the healthcare legislation in Congress right now is unconstitutional in terms of the feds creating a product and mandating that if we don't purchase it, we're either fined or imprisoned. So we also sue the federal government on behalf of all of us based on the unconstitutionality of that legislation.
Yeah, I think Obamacare is a terrible, terrible piece of legislation. I also agree that it's illegal. I will fight it to the death. I mean, it's the last thing we want. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. What would you do to lower labor costs and reduce regulations on manufacturing jobs in Missouri, California?
Great question. Maybe you heard the question, how can we bring more jobs back to California and deal with the regulatory burden? I have a jobs package, and you can look at the details on my website, but let me just say that part of my jobs package is tort reform. Is there any lawyers here?
Yeah.
Were you asked to sit right here? Okay, if you ask Mr. Lee for 1 second. This is no offense, there's a lot of good lawyers. There's another lawyer over there. There's a lot of good lawyers in the state of California. But let's just be honest, this is a lawsuit crazy state. And part of the problem, part of the jobs that we're driving out of the state has to do with all the lawsuits. Now, part of my tort reform package is to put a cap, a $250,000 cap on non-economic damages and all tort awards. And that will make a big difference. Now, I also have a labor rules modification proposal as well. Now, California, we have lots of labor rules, and I've had lots of employees, just like you all, you should treat employees fairly, the workplaces should be safe, but why does California have to have work rules that are just extreme? Example, California is practically the only state where you have to pay overtime after 8 hours in a day rather than 40 hours in a week. Now just think about the impact of that. If you want to work 4 10-hour days, most employers will tell you no, because they have to pay overtime every day. So these work rules that you find only in California hurt employees as much as they hurt employers. My labor rule modification proposal is that we should align our labor rules with federal labor rules so we're not out of sync. And finally, with regards to regulations. Now, let's just be honest. We have a regulatory monster in the state. If you want to build something new, like a manufacturing plant or a power plant, you can't. You just can't. It takes you years and years to go through the whole regulatory maze, and at the end of it all, you might not even get the permits. Now, it's one thing to have high taxes. You can run the numbers, and at least you know what they are, they're certain. If you have high taxes, you may lose a bunch of jobs, but other people might figure out a way to make it work, and they can run the numbers to see if high taxes work or not. That's one serious problem, but it's at least certain. The regulatory system, where you can't even for sure get an answer in a certain amount of time. Now, I can just guarantee you, as someone who's close to the venture capital community and other job creators, that uncertainty is a showstopper.